Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle, where I talk about electronic music, both new and old, and my top 10 worst hit songs video has already become my most popular video after less than 2 weeks of having uploaded it. Well, guess I better make the best list then, huh? Okay, let's get the usual disclaimers out of the way. 1. My opinion. You can disagree and bug me about stuff that I missed. 2. This is not the kind of thing that I typically talk about. As I said in the first sentence of this video, my expertise is electronic music, and I tend to focus on production before I hear any lyrics, though there are a couple of small exceptions. 3. Ranking is based on personal enjoyment and nothing else. We all good? Alright, let's get started.
The top 10 best hit songs of 2015.
Before I begin, unlike the worst lists, I actually bothered to go and list some honorable mentions and guilty pleasures, so let's do that.
If your chick come close to me, she ain't going home when she supposed to be.
Okay, just to clarify, this isn't on here because of any of the performers. Chris Brown is, well, Chris Brown. Omarion sounds like Chris Brown with more auto-tune, and Janae Aiko is actually pretty decent. This is here because of the beat. DJ Mustard is usually not a particularly impressive producer, and this isn't much better, to be honest, but it's still probably the best beat he's ever done. I especially like that flute sound. Yeah, I thought this one was decent. Didn't care enough about the lyrics to get on my nerves.
What do you mean?
Would like to reiterate the fact that I was shocked to find Justin Bieber didn't suck this year. Can't say I was partial to any of his other singles, but one enjoyable song from the guy is still huge.
Hello from the other side.
Best criticism I could come up with this song was that it's not rolling in the deep, and that turned out to be a far more solid criticism of the song than I thought it would be.
Don't believe me, just watch.
Great song, but hasn't fully recovered from overplay yet. Would have made the list if I were at all nostalgic for Morris Day, but I hadn't even heard of the guy before this song came out. This song's a lot of fun, and it was going to be on the list until I realized that I only willingly listened to it once or twice and never got the urge to listen to it again. I have no idea why this is, and to be honest, I think I'd be better off not knowing why. This song's actually a lot of fun to listen to, and was really dang close to making the list, but I just ran out of space. Call it my honorary number 11. Right then, let's get onto the list proper. Number 10. Diplo. I kind of have complicated feelings on this guy. On one hand, he's put out some truly atrocious stuff over the years. Where Are You Now notwithstanding, I've seen some truly horrendous drops from him. Most of them can be found on his Random White Dude Be Everywhere compilation. Not to mention, on his second album from the Major Lazer project, he made this the lead single.
Bubble butt, bubble 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 butt, bubble butt, bubble 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 butt.
What a waste of Bruno Mars. As infuriating a producer as he is definitely capable of making good music every now and then. For example,
all we need is somebody to lean on.
The third album from Major Lazer, Peace is the Mission, met pretty much all my expectations. Diplo and company provided their usual variety of world music and reggae influences with a typically big fluctuation in quality. Some stuff was good, some stuff was bad, but that's what you get with a hit-and-miss producer like Diplo behind the scenes, so that wasn't really a surprise. What did surprise me was that one of the singles off the album became an honest-to-God smash hit, and thankfully it was one of the better ones. The drop, which reeks of DJ Snake, wouldn't sound like a good match for the more subdued tones of the rest of the song, but it actually works pretty well, since Diplo doesn't cut out those cool sounding synth chords that permeate the rest of the song. Like, in a bad Diplo drop, we'd see most of the accompaniment drop out and just leave the off-key bass and some awkward-sounding, high-pitched synth on top. I like to call this practice the Martin Garrix method. But in this drop, the synth chords don't drop out at all, they just keep going, making the drop sound a lot more satisfying. It adds to the very strange and exotic feel of the song. The trap percussion also adds to the atmosphere as well, strangely enough, as some synthetic ambient effects that make the song feel like it's set in some kind of robotic jungle. Good stuff, Diplo and DJ Snake. Hoping for more of this in the future and less of the other stuff. Number 9. Alright, here goes. This is gonna be a tough one to defend. It's been overplayed to hell and back. Heck, I even heard it on the radio while Christmas shopping this year. Not to mention there's tons of problems with it, and both artists involved have made some truly despicable music before and since. But despite the fact that I should hate it, and I think a lot of other people really hate it too, I don't.
It's been a long day.
Yes, I know. I'll bet everybody in the comment section is currently tired of this song. And believe me, I have heard every criticism of this song. Wiz Khalifa taking on subjects out of his depth, i.e. not money, cars, and weed, and instead talking about the movie character rather than the real-life person. Well, that's true, but I have to at least give him points for trying something different. Certainly better than this kind of stuff. Yeah, I'd say this is a significant improvement. But I don't usually care about the performers. What I care about is the production. And the thing I hear everybody yelling about concerning this song is that the production makes this song sound like a car commercial. And I will agree. But here's the thing. Over here in the world of electronic music, we had this huge, widely acclaimed album considered by many, including myself, to be a classic, and it's full of car commercial themes. You know what it is? It's Moby's Play album. In case you haven't heard of Moby, I'd like to say that Adele said that this album really touched her and inspired her a lot on her new 25 album. Don't believe that car commercial themes can't touch people's lives. And honestly, the Moby comparison is exactly why I love this song. Sure, the song is flawed, but despite the fact that I can totally see through the corporate pandering and all, it still works on me in the same way it was supposed to. I won't deny it got overplayed, but I have a feeling I'll still be returning to this one, even after the public at large has forgotten it. Number 8. I reviewed Disclosure's Caracol album earlier this year, and it seemed like everyone jumped at my neck when I said I thought Disclosure were kind of overhyped. Still was amazing, you dork! How dare you hate my favorite album! Look, here's the thing. I never said they were bad. I just think they're overhyped. I very much like Disclosure, and their Settle album has grown on me immensely with repeated listens, but I think it's a bit too early to call them great, as they've really only been around for a couple of years. But I won't deny that they do have a lot of potential. They've also been hugely influential lately, so much so that bigger names have been copying them. Heck, Calvin Harris tried sounding more like them this year and came out with one of his best singles in years. Go figure.
How deep is your love?
I would not call myself a Calvin Harris fan. He tends to stick around in the David Guetta crowd, and though I think he's better than Guetta, it's not by much. Think Burger King versus McDonald's amount. But again, even though Calvin Harris more often than not just spits out the same tired EDM techno-pop stuff over and over, he does have his occasional moments of creativity, and I think this song is a good example of such. Now, the intro and the build-up sections of this song are obviously based off Disclosure and the Deep House movement. Heck, I bet that's where the title came from. Babe, is your love as deep as Disclosure's Deep House? But for me, it's the drop that really makes this song special and sets it apart. Ordinary Calvin Harris drops are big, loud, industrial messes with little to no emotion involved. For instance, I Need Your Love. But here we get some subtle piano chords and another female voice calling back to some old 90s rave, albeit kind of more toned down. Actually puts me in a good mood in a way that most Disclosure songs don't. A Calvin Harris song that puts me in a good mood and is this pleasant to listen to is a rare occurrence indeed. So I'll just have to settle for cheerfulness. Get it? Settle? I'll stop.
Number 7.
So, was this the year of white girls trying to sound like badasses? Halsey tried it, fell flat on her face. Taylor Swift tried it, also fell hard. Though Kendrick broke her fall a bit. Demi Lovato tried it, and, actually she turned out kinda decent, but I digress. Despite all the white girls trying to be edgy and badass and coming off unconvincing, one song I heard sounded a lot more badass than any of these girls could hope for. Show 'em how it's done, Fall Out Boy. Here we have a song in which the entire purpose is to sound badass and nothing more. It's about an actor most famous for playing in a crime movie. It samples the Munsters theme, which isn't actually badass, but is here because it sounds like it came out of some kind of spy movie. The whole song sounds like some kind of spy movie theme. I especially like those orchestral horns or whatever. It's not even super dark or edgy either, it's just kind of mindless fun. Also, it's cool to see an actual rock song on the pop charts. You know, alongside X's and O's. Now, X's and O's is also a great song, and an example of a white woman actually succeeding in sounding badass without sounding like she's also trying too hard. But I picked Uma Thurman for the list because of all the movie references and soundtrack theme influences. I've been listening the crap out of Lalo Schifrin's Bullet soundtrack lately, so that probably has a lot to do with it. Just as that soundtrack is so dang fun to listen to, we had a fast-paced rock song that goes for the same aesthetic. How could I not like that? It's like some anthem to run out with your guns blazing, motivating me to get ready to shoot David Guetta for all the crappy music he's been spitting at us. Wait. Number 6. Did I already mention that I like Disclosure? Because I do. Alright, I know this is really pushing it here, as this didn't actually chart very high, but for the guy that pays attention to the dance and electronic charts on iTunes all the time, it definitely felt like it was a huge hit. Granted, change on the electronic charts is very rare indeed, and ever since Omen was released it shot up to the top of the electronic charts and stayed there, with only Lean On ahead of it. Anyway, my opinion on Caracol has not changed since I reviewed it, and though Omen wasn't my favorite song on the album, I do still like this song a lot. Now, I think Disclosure were a lot showier on Latch and made themselves the center stage with Sam Smith just kind of working on the side, but here they share a much stronger chemistry, and I get the feeling that they were actually trying to complement Smith's vocals this time around. They don't pull off any big, flashy arpeggios or make any weird sidetracks in their beat. It's just very straightforward and simple, not to mention really catchy. They do have a bit of fun in the bass lines, and there are some arpeggios here and there when the song is at its peak intensity, but it's all downplayed to better fit Sam Smith, who of course gives his usual soulful performance. Again, I do wish other songs from Caracol like Holding On, Nocturnal, or Hourglass charted so they could make it on this list instead, but this was definitely a great song. Here's hoping for bigger and better things for these guys in the future. Number 5. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make a huge confession. I like Pitbull. Like a lot. I will admit he is stupid. He is very stupid. And that Swedish House Mafia trend cash-in is still awful. But I like more than a few songs of his. I liked Give Me Everything. I liked Timber. I liked International Love. I even kinda like Back in Time, although to be honest, I do mostly enjoy him as a joke. Back in Time, for instance, is totally incompetent, but in such a way that it's hilarious.
Don't you know that I don't give a number two?
Never gets old. Pitbull hasn't made any songs thus far that aren't completely unironically enjoyable, but he always sounds like he is having a great time and he cheers me up and always puts me in a good mood. He may make tons of dumb or nonsensical jokes, usually both, but I always got the feeling that underneath it all, he was good people. I can't say I expected to get solid proof of that, though.
I knew my rent was gonna be late about a week ago. I worked my ass off, but I still can't pay it though.
Okay, first of all, Pitbull actually made a song about being poor. When was the last time you heard a pop star do that? From what I can gather, this is about someone who, despite being a hard worker, is unable to pay the rent, so seeing that their efforts are futile, they go to the nightclub instead, hoping to have one last good time before their inevitable homelessness. Admittedly, wasting rent money at the club seems like kind of an irresponsible decision, but I don't think Pitbull was implying that people should do it. He's just trying to show a situation that could happen to the typical American and make them feel better about it. That even this multi-millionaire performer knows what it's like. And Neo's vocals are just a perfect match for the situation. His sad vocals contrasting against the happy beat match the great time with a foreboding future. The beat isn't super complex or much to talk about, just kind of a retro disco thing. But this song just puts me in such a good mood. Sure, Pitbull makes his usually dumb, unfunny jokes, but he's just so dang likable.
This for everybody going through tough times. Believe me, been there, done that. But every day above ground is a great day, remember that.
And in the dark depths of 2015, we could definitely use a silly mood booster club song, and very few songs this year felt so genuinely happy to be alive. And you know what? It makes me happy to be alive too. Number 4. Hold on a second. How high did Omen chart? Yeah, I just realized there was a song that charted higher than that. I'm gonna now have to talk about. I wasn't planning on putting this on the list as I didn't think it counted as a hit, but then I noticed that it charted higher than Omen, so I guess that means it's gotta go here. Hi, Kendrick.
Oh yeah, bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run again, got the whole world talking. King Kunta.
Kendrick set the world on fire with his To Pimp a Butterfly album this year. Every critic I watched was absolutely in love with it, and though I personally don't think I liked it quite as much as everyone else did. Hey, shut up. I put it on my top albums list even though it wasn't even electronic. Anyway, King Kunta was definitely one of my favorites from the album. It wasn't my favorite, that honor goes to how much a dollar cost, but I still love this one. I like how it starts out really simple, then constantly builds on itself and changes key. The beat is this weird mix of unserious and serious, with a weird, quirky drum beat and high-pitched voice saying, "What's the yams?" or "We want funk!" But also this intense hypnotic guitar and this really tight bass line. It's just great. Not to mention catchy and surprisingly fun to lip sync to.
Bitch, where you and I was walking. Now I run again, got the whole world talking. King Kunta, everybody wanna cut the.
As for why it isn't higher, well, it's mainly because this didn't feel at all like a hit song. I come to good hit songs for just mindless enjoyment, but Kendrick is anything but mindless. So you know, he belongs on the album lists, not the hits lists. That being said, the beats Kendrick has throughout the album are good enough that I can still enjoy them without having to look on Rap Genius. Hence how it's as high up on the list as it is. But I just need to mention I don't feel right comparing Kendrick to Pitbull, you know what I mean? But still, Kendrick is awesome, and you probably already knew that. Number 3. Hi, buffer music.
I can feel my face when I'm with you.
I'm a sucker for a good disco track, and The Weeknd brought one of the best I've heard in a while. The production is dark and atmospheric, but unlike The Hills, which has a grating and not very well matched chorus that derails the rest of the track for me, the instrumental here is very cool, smooth, tight, and satisfying. Not to mention The Weeknd's voice is a lot better suited to it, coming off in a really obviously Michael Jackson inspired way. But above all, this song is insanely catchy. It's gotten trapped in my head for days at a time and never once bothered me. That is to say, I can't get this song out of my head, but I love it. And hey, that's what a pop song is supposed to do, right? So yeah, this song's awesome. Number 2.
Number 2.
Hi, intro and ending music. Coldplay. I'm much more familiar with these guys than I am with Fall Out Boy, having heard more than a few singles and even a deep cut or two, although I hope to eventually explore the rest of their discography. The weird thing about this song is though, even though I fell in love with it after one listen, I noticed that a lot of people were complaining about how Coldplay were selling out and they were making stuff like everything else on the radio. Really now, because this is unlike anything else I've ever heard before. On one hand, I can kind of see where they're coming from. It's kind of inspired from that retro disco stuff like Daft Punk have been doing lately. And, I will admit this song does kind of sound like Can't Feel My Face. But Coldplay bring their own unique twist to the formula, one that's much lighter and breezier and prettier. Chris Martin's vocals are usually better suited for more emotional stuff than music that just sounds cool, but I'd be lying if I said they didn't work in the latter situation. For instance, God Put a Smile Upon Your Face. I love that song, but emotional it is not. It's more like some kind of cool surf spy suspenseful movie theme kind of feel to it. Kind of difficult to pin down. Going back to Adventure of a Lifetime, that song is more emotional than God Put a Smile Upon Your Face, although that emotion is just happiness and gratefulness to be alive. As Chris Martin says, you make me feel alive again! Not to mention, applying the Coldplay sound to the random access memory sound is highly interesting. Great guitar licks, tight bass line, I just love everything about this song. If I do have one complaint though, it's that holy crap, Chris Martin as a monkey is creepy. And finally, number 1. Alright, once again, I know this is gonna be a weird pick for number 1. I'm sure most people expected this to be on my list somewhere, as it's on a lot of other people's lists, but I don't think most people actually considered it their favorite of the year. And honestly, I didn't expect this to be my favorite of the year either, but this list is based purely off of personal enjoyment, and every single second of this song is absolutely amazing in my opinion. I do get why some people might not like this song. It is kind of a mess, and it sounds like 2 or 3 different songs at once. But you know what? I see that as a good thing, because that means double the content and double the awesomeness. Macklemore's rapping about mopeds is silly, but it's still loads of fun and has its funny moments. The verses from Grandmaster Kaz, Melly Mel, and Cool Mo D are wonderfully old school. And of course, let's not forget the chorus from Eric Nally, which is my personal favorite part of the song. This section reminds me of some kind of Queen song with Eric Nally's Freddie Mercury-esque voice and just a huge, operatic, awesome feel. But if I really have to credit one person for the success of this song, it would have to be Ryan Lewis, the producer. He really outdid himself with the old school beat in the Macklemore section, featuring a catchy 2-note piano line, tight bass line, saxophones, and little squirty synthesizers, which honestly kind of remind me of King Kunta, but I digress. And in the chorus, it sounds like we've got a whole marching band or something. Every moment of this song is just awesome. Sure, it makes no sense and it's pretty mindless, but it is just so dang fun that it makes me want to get up and dance all the way to the nearest moped dealer, where I then realize I am too broke to actually buy a moped and then I go home. But still, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis kicked ass with this song and I loved it from start to finish, and therefore, it is my #1 pick for this year. And that's the end of my list. Of course, this is just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it. I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments, though. Feel free to bug me about songs that I missed, or if you have any requests for what I should review in the future. Now that I'm done with these lists, I can actually get back to reviewing things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.
Everything you want.